everyone, it's Cheryl. I have had a lot of requests since I posted an ATC on ATC Inspirations this morning. I've had a lot of requests on how to do polymer clay. A lot of you say you're really interested. Excuse me, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to talk here. My voice is doing funky, really funky things, not their usual funky things. Anyway, I've had a lot of requests for tutorial on polymer clay, and this probably is definitely going to be a two-part tutorial, because what I want to go over first of all in the first part is going to be basically what is polymer clay, tools that you need, some other things that you can buy to go with it, and I want to show you the different types of polymer clay that are available out there. And I don't have all the types. I know there are more, but I'm going to show you what I have. Looking for something, but I have no idea where that went. We're not going to worry about that right now. All right, well, let's get started. As I posted today on ATC Inspirations, I posted this ATC that I made. I know to some of you it might look really dark and a little goth and maybe and that kind of stuff, but there really is, I promise you people, a beautiful meaning behind this. This is truly how my art is. It's me. When I go all artistic, things like this come out. And I had told you it was on ATC. You are not helping with this one. On ATC Inspirations, I had said that it was created. This was taken from a necklace I designed for myself. So this is the original design necklace that I copied the ATC from. Anyway, with all of that said, polymer clay is polyvinyl chloride. Polyvinyl chloride are your water pipes, PVC pipe. There is no natural mineral in polymer clay, and a liquid is added to it to give it its consistency, so that you're able to easily form it and stuff like that. And polymer clay is an oven-baked clay. All right. I'm going to start out first of all with just some of the clays I have here and show you a little bit of their properties. First off, we'll start with Sculpey, and I believe this is Sculpey 3. Sculpey is very, very soft. I've had trouble firing some colors of it, like white, but then it was old, so I don't know if that was it. But as you can see, Sculpey, you can take it right out of the bag and just squish it right in your fingers. So when you're working with Sculpey, the clay is heat activated, and it activates with the heat in your hands. So when you're working with Sculpey and you get it really, really warm, sometimes it's best just to put the piece down and wait a little while before you continue with it. Simply because when Sculpey gets too warm, Sculpey basically is just it's so easy to just just squish it. I guess that's the best word for it. So Sculpey is probably about the softest clay. It's the softest one I know out there. I believe you over in the UK have a clay called Cernit. You used to see it around here a lot, way back, but I haven't seen it for quite a while, so I don't know if no one over here is importing it anymore or what. All right, then we are going to go to a clay called Primo. All right, and Primo is, I believe, Primo is put out by the same people who put out Sculpey. Primo, however, is not as soft as Sculpey, and I don't know if I can. But it's taking me a lot more push to squish the Primo. And the beautiful part of polymer clay, it comes in just about every color imaginable, and we'll get into that in a little while. But Primo is firmer than Sculpey, and personally, it is the one I prefer to use the most because it's not too hard, it's not too soft. Usually have no problem with my projects out of Primo. And then there is the clay called, I don't know if you say it Fimo or Fimo. I've heard it both ways. I think most people call it Fimo. Fimo is hard, okay? Fimo is a hard clay, and I understand I'd heard somewhere they redid the formula, and it's not quite so hard, but I think there is a softer version of it now, but the original Fimo, I am doing everything I can to squish this clay between my fingers. I am finally going to end up putting it down on here, and I still can't. So when you're working with a clay like Fimo, that is a hard clay, probably the best thing to do is just take it and hold it in your hand for a while. And let the heat of your hand get into the clay, okay? I know that they do make a liquid out there that you can put into your clay, and it will soften it. I also know, I believe it's mineral oil you can use, but you have to be very, very careful. You don't want to put very much in there, or you're going to have a gloppy mess. But yeah, Fimo is one of your really hard clays. Alright, with that said, like I said, it comes in just about every color you can imagine. Your Fimo, your Primo, your Sculpey are going to run all about the same price. And then Michaels has a brand called Craftsmart. Now this clay is a little different, okay? This one to me almost has a more plastic feel to it. It's cheaper and I like it okay. It molds fine, you can make things out of it. But I've noticed like when you make the canes, and that's where you make the designs and you wrap the clay around, and we'll get into making a cane in the next video. That's simple one. I found that this is almost more, it has a more plastic feel to it. And I find that it's harder to get it to stick to other clays than any of the others I have shown you. But it is cheaper, and it is a good clay, and it does work well. Okay, and I've got crumbs coming off my clay all over here, and that's simply because my clays haven't been used for quite a while. And as they sit, I'm going to show you right now with this red, since we're talking about it. As they sit, now this is a red Fimo, and it has sparkles in it, okay? I don't know if I can get the camera to catch the sparkles, but I want to show you what happens with this, because this has been sitting around, and the sparkle clays tend to be pretty hard. Okay, it's already broken into two pieces in my hand. Watch what happens when I go to try to knead this stuff. Okay? And I got some of it worked up last night when I was doing that ATC. I just had to hold it in my hand for quite a while. But you're going to end up with, let me zoom in a little bit. Camera over here. You're going to end up with this happening to you. And if you squish it down with your hand, trying to really work it in, it's going to keep doing it for a while. Last night, I just had to hold it in my hand for about 15-20 minutes until it started to soften. And then I was able to go ahead and start kneading it. And it took me a while to get it to where I could actually work with it. But once I'd gotten it softened up, I had no problem keeping it that way until I was done. Oh, I'm so sorry about the camera blur. There. I will leave something sitting up here so that it will not blur. I am so sorry about that. Alright, so basically you can get glow-in-the-dark clay. You can get what they call transparent. Now this will not give you a clear look. It will not harden perfectly clear. Okay, but if you don't mind, get down. Oh, it won't harden perfectly clear. It doesn't stay this tan color, and when we get into actually working with the clay in the next video, I will use some of it in something and show you what it comes out to be, or what it comes out like. Yeah, there's so many types of clay. The one I have sitting here right now, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on camera. This one is called, oh, they always put them on here so tiny I can never see them. Thank you for getting on my shoulder. I didn't want you. I am not sure. But this one is made to look like stone. Okay, and I don't know if you can see, but it's got like flecks in it and stuff like that, like you'd find in stone. And there are various colors of this too, and this tends to be pretty soft. This one's a little hard, but it's been sitting around for a while. A little bit about, but that's basically what I can tell you right now about the clays. They're basically easy to use. You just got to knead them up. You'll find when you work with reds that you may want to work with a red last if you're doing anything with red, because red stains your fingers. Black also. You really want to work with those just about last, because if you don't, you're going to get black and red into just about every color that you're working with. They will bleed together. Polymer clay is mixed together very, very easily. If you get one next to another and they get stuck, you're probably not going to get them apart again. So you kind of want to be conscious of that when you're working with them. Also, each type bakes at a different temperature. Most of them, I do believe, are between 250 and 275, but I know there are some that bake down at 230. And you want to kind of be mindful of that. I have found that if I am baking one that needs to be baked at 275, and I have one that needs to be baked at 230, it's usually okay with it as long as I don't go over half an hour. And they recommend about 15 minutes, but as the thicker your project gets, the longer baking time you'll need, and sometimes that's just kind of guesswork. About what you'll need to bake it in. Now, I use a small toaster oven that I bought just for the polymer clay. Polymer clay, they say, is not supposed to be toxic. All right, it's supposed to be totally safe. However, anywhere you go to look at polymer clay, anybody you see using it, everybody recommends using only certain pans, you know, like getting a toaster oven, because although they claim it is perfectly safe, it's kind of like the jury's still out on that one. So better safe than sorry to do that. You can also buy this. This is translucent liquid Sculpey. What you can do with this, and I did it on the ATC, is I took the big heart after I had it made out of the clay, and I wanted to put it down on the ATC. And what I did what you do with this is you just take the top off, and you have this little point on the end, and then you can just squeeze this out, and it works just like glue. It is liquid Sculpey, so yeah, this is liquid Sculpey, but it doesn't. You can use it on any other types of clay. Basically, what it is a liquid, a thinned down liquid form of the polymer clay. When you put the two pieces of polymer clay together with this in the middle, as it bakes, this just bonds it together like a glue. Okay. You can also get a glaze for it. I can't find any of it around here, so I'm still looking for that. But it puts a beautiful, almost like glass type glaze on it. It's really cool for doing eyeballs at Halloween. I've seen them done. All right, tools. Let's get into some tools here. First and foremost, you're going to need a surface to do this on. What I have here is just a piece of plain white ceramic tile that I got at Menards, and I think it cost me, I know it cost me less than $3. And this is exactly 12 inches by 9 inches, and I find that is a big enough space for most of the things that I do. I don't really need a large space. Oh, I'm sorry about that blur. Don't like white for that. But yeah, you are going to need something like that. It is best to always clean your tile before you use your clays. And I like to use, you can use a baby wipe on it. You can just wipe it off the baby wipe. But I like to go over mine with rubbing alcohol. That way if there's any oil from my fingers or anything like that, I don't get it into my clay. The clay will absorb the oil from your fingers, so it is also recommended before you use the clay, especially the whites and the light colors, you need to wash your hands. And a lot of times, if I'm going to be, they will pick up. You will think your hands are perfectly clean, and they will get down in those pores, these clays will. They will pick up any little bit of dirt and oil that's in there. So what I usually do if I'm going to use the whites or the flesh colors, anything like that, I go over my fingers with some rubbing alcohol. Just, just a shot over each one, just to dry them out a little bit. As I said, if you're working with blacks, reds, any colors that you start finding, that are bleeding off on your fingers, they're going to be on your other clay too. Another thing about polymer clay that they usually don't tell you, polymer clay reacts differently with different plastics, and in some cases it will almost like stick itself and eat into the plastic, so storing it, on certain types of plastic, I wouldn't do that. It's fine in a Ziploc bag like this is. It's fine in its own packaging, but you really have to watch the type of plastics that you put it next to, because it does kind of eat and attach. It doesn't really eat into the plastic, but somehow it gets attached on there, and Yeah, it's weird, but that's what happens. So that's just a good thing to know about polymer clays and plastic. And most sites, most things I've seen do not tell you about that. So next, I guess let's start going through some tools you can buy. And the tools really vary. You can use anything on polymer clay, and I mean anything. Once you get it, you know, they have these. They're really cheap, inexpensive plastic sculpting tools. I don't care for them so much, but you know, they're there and they work. There's no problem with using them. I don't care for them as much as I like the metal tools. Okay. Your cutters for clay. Now your cutters for clay can be something as simple. I'm sorry, I've got to put something here so it stops blurring. Focus. Thank you. It can be something as simple as just a regular craft or hobby knife. You can use, if you're lucky enough to have one of the old single-edged razor blades, I understand they're making them again now. You can use one of those. These are out of your utility knives. You can use these. You can use the cheap box cutters from the dollar stores. Or you can buy a set. If you're going to do a lot of it, it's almost worth it to invest in this set of knives, okay? What you get here is you get 4 knives. You get one straight rigid blade, and this one is pretty rigid. It gives a little, but it's pretty rigid. You get one super bendy blade, and then you get 2 blades that have kind of a corrugated design. You get a small one and a big one, and they do come with handles that you can put on to the ends, and it comes with 2 handles, so you can put 2 handles on if you want to. I prefer to work without the handles. They get in my way. But, you know, if you don't like holding the blade, you know, just in your fingers, you don't trust that. They do come with 2 handles, which they just come apart and slip over the end, and then you just push them back together, and you've got 2 handles. So that's really handy. These blades have different purposes. Let me get some black out here because it's quick and easy. Let's use the screen. It's quick and easy to knead because this also is sculpey, and it is just super quick to knead. All right. I'm just going to knead it up just a little bit. This is some really old stuff, and I just really want to get it used up. I did not clean my fingers. I did wipe them with a baby wipe, but if I get some red in it, this I'm trying to get used up because the sculpey to me, I like the clay. It's very, very good, but to me it's almost too soft. So we'll just kind of flatten it into, let me get up here in the thing, into a circle like that. Now your big, this is an acrylic roller, okay? You don't need an acrylic roller. You can use an old dowel. I started out with a hollow piece of plastic. I don't even know what it was off of, but it was a hollow tube of plastic, and I started just using that before I bought one of these acrylic rollers, and they're nice and thick. But you don't need one of these. You can use whatever you want. You can use your thumb just like that. But I'm going to roll it out a little bit. Okay. All right. Your big blade, your one that's not so flexible, that is just a straight cutting blade. And it just cuts right through the clay like that. These are very, very sharp. If you use them, be very, very careful. All right. Now your small blade, the more flexible one, okay. That is if you want to pick up something that's flat and suppose it's like kind of stuck down on your... I mean, you can cut with it too because it does have the cutting edge, but this is what it's for. You curve it a little bit, slide it under, lift your clay up, no residue. So that's basically what this blade is for, okay? And then your other 2 blades, your corrugated, just making decorative cuts. Where's my big one? There it is. I usually get these upside down and can't figure out why they won't cut so good. Yeah, wake up. Oops. And I do this a lot too. I get the wrong end going under my clay instead of the side with the blade on it. But there, I think you see the cuts that these make. And when you pull the clay away, you have a nice little corrugated edge and a smaller one. So that's what those do basically, and they are very, very handy tools to have. Now, also, something else that I really like, I bought these. It came as a set of 3. And what they are basically is a ball stylus. You get a large one, and it has kind of a cone-shaped end. So both ends you can use to sculpt in your clay projects. There's a medium-sized one, and it has an end that's more flattened out on it, and it's very rubbery, so that you can, you know, kind of go down the side of your clay and shape it. And you have the small one, which is really tiny. Sometimes I use it for scoring on cardstock when I can't find a bone folder. And it has a pointed end that you can also use. So those are just another thing that is really handy to have if you're going to do polymer clay. Handiest thing you have, your own two hands. And they don't cost you nothing. Alright. And this is a good way to clean up your crumbs of clay too. If you've got a really soft clay, you can just wipe it right across there and just pick them right up. Okay, let's get on with this. And, you know, basically whatever you want to use for a tool is good. Okay? You can buy little sets of cutters for it. This is a little set of squares that I have. I also have a set of circles. Oops, wrong side. I bought another pack that has like, it's kind of an oval. Little teardrop shape going here. Yeah, you can buy, there are all types of these little cutters out there in a variety of prices. So that's good. Another thing that's good to have, an old toothbrush. That will make some texture in your clay. You sit there and you just poke around on top of your clay with a toothbrush. And if you're making foods or you really want a neat texture, that's what your toothbrush will do for you. I hope you can see that. Toothpicks, bamboo skewers, anything is good for working with polymer clay. Since it is so soft, and the Fimo, you know, it may not get quite this soft, but it will get very, very soft as you work with it. This, I am not sure what it is. It looks like that. Looks like that rubber mopboard they used to have, but this has a design of little, like, looks kind of like cobblestones or pebbles. And I also have one that has brickwork on it. Now these are great. I found these are great for working with the polymer clay because you can stamp with them. And I don't know if you can see this. You can make designs with those. I use a lot in my crafting. I ink it up and stick it down, or put paint on it and stick it down. And I'll tell you what, those work really cool. I've got a lot of it. So anybody, you know, think you might want some, give me a holler. Also, probably gonna fall off this chair. Crafting Kitty just get, oh, there they are. Alright. You can also buy molds, and these are basically like silicone rubber molds. And of course, Martha Stewart has molds out there. Mod Podge has a lot of neat molds, and they are perfect for miniatures, little frames, and all kinds of stuff. Martha Stewart the same way. This one makes a flower. Okay, it has different petals and different leaves to make a lot of different flowers. Are they good molds? They're pretty good, but they're almost too flexible. And sometimes when you're going to put that clay down in there, it'll distort your clay, you know, out of shape, kind of. To use them, it's very simple. And I believe Jane at Velocity at 08 she had mentioned something to me about, since we were doing the miniatures group and everything, she was going to demo some amazing mold putty, and I think she was going to do some resin also. I've used the amazing mold putty, and I'm going to show you some of that in a minute, because that goes right hand in hand with polymer clay and making your own molds. But what you do with these, and I'm sure most of you are totally familiar with molds. I don't even think I have enough clay here. Just squish your clay down into it. If you have too much, take your knife, just skim it off. Be careful not to skim your mold. And this isn't going to be very good, but pop it back out, and you have a leaf. Okay? Alright. I learned a lesson with these. They said that you could bake right in these silicone molds. You can. No problem. As long as your mold's full. Alright, nobody told me that. So, like, I had this really cool mold, or I thought it was, of all these different little faces. I did not have it filled all the way up. Look at my mold. Yeah, and you know what? There's no fixing that. It bent, it's gonna stay that way. So I can still make the smaller faces because I had all of these filled up, but I did not have the 2 larger faces filled up. So I'm out of luck on those, and that was my own fault. You can buy silicone textures. I can't find mine right now. I had a couple of them. I will find them, though, before we start doing any projects with the clay, because they are really cool. Okay, they make some neat textures. I had one that kind of makes it look like a leather background, and I think the other one was swirls, and it was really cool. You need to get out of here now. You cannot help with this. So, yeah, I will look those up. I haven't done this forever. All right, amazing mold putty. Let me find one of my molds here. You can mold anything with this stuff, but like I said, I'm not going to go into it because Jane had talked to me about, you know, doing some and doing a demo on it. You know, when she had joined the miniatures group, and I told her I thought that would be a fantastic thing for her to do. But anyway, amazing mold putty. It's a 2-part putty. You put it together. You put it around whatever you want and mold it. You wait 20 minutes. You release it from the mold, and you have. This is not a very good one, but you have a little rubber mold. Here's a little snowman I molded. And then you come out with these great little, what do I do with it? Oh, here we go. Little polymer pieces after you bake them. See, like, this was molded off a vintage Bakelite pin. And you can mold old jewelry, you can mold keys, you can, great for steampunk people, you can mold keys, you can mold gears, you can mold anything. So I'm hoping, you know, that Jane will find the time. I know she's really busy. I'm hoping she will find the time to do the amazing mold putty soon, because that would just be too cool. To go along with our miniatures, to go along with this series on polymer clay. Awesome. Alright, another thing. I need a bigger lump of clay. This is a really old one, so it's kind of beat up. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is a pasta machine, okay? And like I said, this one is really old, really beat up, and I have not used this thing forever, so I need to clean I need to set it on the, it's the bad part about these, like this one, because it's so old, you gotta set it on the edge. And I'm just cleaning my rollers off right now. I'm getting my baby wipes stuck in there, because that's what's happening. I've had this thing stored forever. I don't use it a lot anymore. I was wishing I would have got it out last night. And I'm just going up underneath to clean off the blade, all the little edges under there, because if they're dirty, your clay will get dirty. So it's best to always clean your pasta machine after use. For those of you not familiar with the pasta machine, you will have 3, well, this one has more than 3 settings, but you will never probably go higher than number 3. Number 1 will give you the thickest setting. Number 3 will give you about as thin as you dare go. Alright, the thing with the pasta machine and the polymer clay, let me get a little more clay here. They're handy, but they are not necessary. That's why we have clay rollers, right? There's, you know, whatever we're using to roll out the clay. But if you get your clay all mixed good, I'm just going to knead this up. And I am using the Sculpey, as I said, because it is just the easiest to use. Stick your clay into your pasta machine. Alright, there we go. Oh, I can't turn the handle from there. Maybe I can. Put it through. Oops. I'm going to move out just a bit. And mine squeaks really bad, but look at that. You have an even piece of clay to use for your project. So if you want, I'm going to get this thing out of here because it's just big and bulky. The new ones they have are a lot smaller, and I think the last time I saw them, they're about $25. Okay, so now, so I have this nice flat, very evenly rolled piece of clay, which is now all dirty because the pasta machine was very dirty. But like I said, I'm trying to get rid of this. Anyway, so maybe I want to use my cookie cutter, and that's just like cutting cookies, that's all it is. Cut that one out. Cut out a square. Wiggle it around just a bit. And there you go. Simple as that. And you've got, they're nice, flat, and even. Polymer clay, if it's getting too soft, and suppose you have a roll of clay, I mean, this is something else that they don't always tell you, but you find it out. Suppose you got your clay rolled out, okay? That's really bad, but suppose you have it rolled out. I could go on all night. You poor people, I could go on all night. You want to cut it. A lot of times when you're trying to cut a perfect circle, they will recommend you roll the clay in the knife, you know, push them down lightly, and then you get a pretty good cut. Okay. When you have clay this soft and you go with the knife, you're more often than not going to end up with that. But the cool part is if you stick it in the freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes, it will harden enough that you can cut through it. And it works really, really wonderful. So if you can't get that rolling going and your clay wants to squish, stick it in the freezer for about 5 or 10 minutes. It'll cut just fine for you. Alright, let's see. What else have I got here that I can... You can do everything in the world with this stuff. You can make jewelry. You can make ATCs. You can do art. We can do miniatures with it. Great thing for doing miniatures. Of course, you know, you can use air dry clay too if you're more comfortable with that. And if you don't have, you know, all the stuff to fire or to cook the, you know, if you don't want to go out and buy a toaster oven or you don't have an old one around. Usually, though, you can get them at the thrift stores for not too much. I think right around $5. So that's not so bad. Let me see here. If you don't get out of here, cat. Alright. This, right here. Alright, just a minute. She's on my shoulders. Out! Goodbye. Go eat. Thank you. This is a leopard cane that I made. Okay, so this is what a cane is. You know, when you've seen the pieces cut, and a lot of times they cut them thick and they make jewelry out of them, which is really cool. I haven't done it. I make the canes, I haven't done it, but I'm going to try to roll this and cut it. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of times you'll see a little piece like this, and it's part of a piece of jewelry. So we will explore how to make simple canes in our next video. We're going to go through a lot of different stuff. I'm going to show you how to do the marble thing. You will not believe how easy it really, truly is. People think you spent a ton of time doing this. And you just smile and say thank you, because you're not going to spend that much time doing it. It's that easy. Let's see. Somewhere in here, oh, I labeled these and my labels fell off. I have all these little drawers over here. I labeled them and my labels fell off. But yeah, you can make jewelry, you can make cabochons, you can make beads, you can, you know, just go hog wild and do whatever. It's limited by your imagination. It's like most of crafting. You are your own limit on what can be done with this stuff. It is fun. It's really fun. It's addictive. I mean, there's sometimes I get to doing this stuff and hours just whiz by me. It's very therapeutic too because you're working it with your hands, you know, and that's always a good sensory therapy. To do that. And a lot of times, you know, if you're having a bad day or something, get out the clay, because you're sitting there and you're squishing it, you're frustrated, you're not happy, things have been going wrong. And one thing, it's a good way to work your clay and get it worked up. And another, you'll find out, you know, that pretty soon you're just not even feeling it anymore. You're not feeling bad, you're not feeling frustrated. Clay is a wonderful therapy for, you know, anything like anxiety or anything like that. And doing this is just, it's very relaxing once you really get into it. I've got to go out. I did not bring my toaster oven in here because I already had that pasta machine in here. I'll be right back. I brought my toaster oven, and this toaster oven is just strictly for the purpose of polymer clay. I will not use anything else in it. It's supposed to be safe. They won't commit to it. I'm not using my cooking stuff with it. So I bought this one. This one is just a very simple one. It just has your, I believe this is your, I can't see. This is your temperature up here. And I've got mine set for 265. And I generally bake it all on 265 unless I am baking things alone that I know are a lower temperature. Okay? But you need to read the directions. Not all toaster ovens, you know, give out the same heat. Some aren't exactly set right. You need to feel that out for yourself, okay? And then just the timer down here. So it's a very simple toaster oven. It's not very big. It's very small. It's trying to kill me. It's eating me. My toaster oven is eating me. Help me, crafting kitty. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, anyway, you guys get the idea of a toaster oven, right? Alright, now I'm going to show you another little thing they don't tell you. I've learned this by watching tons and tons and tons of videos. And reading it in books and all that good kind of stuff. And that is, the little thing they don't tell you is it is best to bake your project on clay tiles instead of directly on the metal. And that is strictly, I think, because of the heat. You know, the metal is going to get a lot hotter. Your clay tiles are going to stay hot longer, but they're going to be a more even heat than a metal, where it's just going to be, you know, this metal is going to get super hot. This tile is going to get hot and stay hot. Alright, and these are just plain white subway tiles. I think you can get them in most places for maybe, you know, you can get them anywhere, I think, from like, if they're having a sale, like 35, 45 cents a piece up to maybe $1. Not a big investment, and I'm using these to do my kitchen anyway. So, when I get that far, if I get that far, crafting kitty, you took my wax paper, now I have to climb over a toaster oven. Yay, we're having a good time here. Alright, and what I like to do, and they recommend that you not bake directly on the tile either. And again, I believe that's probably because of the heat. Your stuff won't stick, okay? But let me tell you, if you get it too hot, it will burn and it will smoke and the stuff will bubble up because it's plastic. Oh, nasty. I did that in a toaster oven. The clay of the oven, all of it, threw it right in the garbage because there was going to be no saving that one. Thank goodness it was one I had bought at a secondhand store. So, yeah, never again on that one. I check and double check my temperatures. All right, what I like to do with this, I like to tear off a sheet of wax paper, and I'm sorry about the loud noise there. And it's a little bit of a pain, and if you can get one long tile about this size, I know subway tile is 6 long by 3 wide. You can get a big tile about that size, or you have a tile cutter and you can cut one of these down. Great. Then you wouldn't have to mess with this. But what I usually do is I just tuck my wax paper under my edges, kind of crinkle these down, or tuck them under if I feel like it, and then you can lay your pieces right on your wax paper. And then put them into bake. Before you put them into bake, this is another thing they don't tell you that is very, very helpful. I ruined clay simply because it was the lower temperature clay that I put in with the higher temperature clay. And I'm not saying this is going to work in all instances, but if you take aluminum foil, just plain aluminum foil, and it doesn't have to be the heavy stuff or anything like that, be any type, this is really cheap dollar store aluminum foil, and you just put it over and you just kind of tent it up. You don't want to smash it down onto your clay project. You don't, just want to kind of make a little tent, like, and just make sure most of the edges are closed. That also seems to help a lot in the baking process. But like I said, not everybody you watch, not everything you read is going to tell you, to do this. This is just a good tip I wish I'd known a long time ago when I started with the clay. It would have helped a lot in my projects. Okay, so that's all said and done. There's something else I was going to tell you too that I thought pertained pretty much. Excuse me, that's that drawer on that thing. They don't slide in very well. Paid $14 for it, and I'll tell you what, it really was not worth probably $4 because all the little handle things on the drawers are broken, and not the best, but it is what it is, and it's holding stuff. As I said, you can do just about anything there is with polymer clay. What I would like to explore next time is I am working on, for our miniatures, I am going to be working this week on a lot of different projects we can make for the miniatures. I'm going to break away from the box a little bit, like I said, and I'm going to be working on a lot of little projects that we ourselves can do. And part of it, I think, is going to be, and I will include it in part 2 of this clay series. And we'll get to working with some clay, and it does not matter if you have air dry clay or you want to use the oven baked clays. What we're gonna make is gonna work either way, so it's not gonna be a big deal. Something else. Well, if I can't remember it this time, I'm sure I will remember it by next time that we get together with clay. Basically, there are just different types of clays to remember. Just some tools, to use. All about baking and that. yeah, what you can do with polymer clays is really just endless. Your imagination, you know, that's your limit. Whatever you can imagine, just about you can do in polymer clay. So, really, without remembering, the last thing I wanted to tell you, I should write this stuff down. I should just write it down. But I didn't. I don't remember if it had something to do with baking the clay or what it was, but you probably all see my funky jammies down here. I got Halloween pajamas on. They say trick or treat, and they have black cats and candy corn. And it's the middle of winter, right? Hey, pajamas are pajamas, and these are warm. Oh, yeah. I've shown you just about all the tools. I don't have a lot of tools. A lot of times, like I said, my best tools are these little things right here. And what I do have, I've shown you. Basically, you know, all you need is something to cut it with, something to roll it out with, your fingers, and, you know, you're basically good to go with this. I just scratched something open. I'm kind of bleeding. It itched. Anyway, yeah, so I think we will probably... Crafting Kitty, what are you doing? She acted like she was chasing something, but like there's no bug in here. There better not be a mouse in here. I think she's lost it myself. I think so. She's probably been huffing something she shouldn't. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I think we're going to end this right here. And basically, I just wanted to give you a basic introduction into some of the clays you can find, some of the tools you can use, and I promise in part 2, we're going to work on some projects, and I'm going to show you some stuff that's really cool. Or maybe you won't think it's so cool. But I'm going to do my best, okay? Thank you guys for watching me. I will see you with part 2 probably tomorrow. Bye-bye.